So first of all, I want to welcome everyone in, and I want to let you know that we are so glad that you are here today. And I want to give you a couple of tips so that our time together can be the best that it can possibly be. And first and foremost, I'm going to ask you to be present with us for the next 30 minutes and really commit to focusing in on yourself, because we believe that prioritizing your emotions and prioritizing your mental and emotional wellness is not selfish. It's actually selfless, and it benefits every single relationship in your life. And it benefits all the people around you and everything that you do. So for sticking with us for the next 30 minutes, we're going to be giving you a gift, and we're also going to be doing a giveaway. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that in just a few moments. But first, we have an incredible experience that we're going to share with you first. And so we have invited Nakia to come and share her experience of using her Solle program over the last few years to help her with emotional stability and emotional wellness.
My name is Nakia. I started Solle June of 2020. So what drew me to Solle? Well, as we all know, planning a wedding can take a toll on you emotionally. My wedding was planned for May 9th of 2020. And in my area, the COVID shutdown had commenced a few weeks prior to the date of my wedding. So I had to cancel my wedding of 225 guests. And with that came a lot of phone calls and a lot of texts of, what are you going to do? Or when's the new date? I bought a flight. How am I going to get my money back? Or it was really overwhelming. So even before planning my wedding, my emotional stability was rough. I have attention deficit disorder, and it can make it challenging for me to process tough emotions. So I would break down crying or get frustrated very easily. So during that time, I found myself crying uncontrollably to my fiance and my family members about very small inconveniences. I made a lot of impulsive decisions and purchases when I was upset, just to make myself feel better. And I would just cry afterwards. I was very short and rude sometimes to my friends and family because I was overwhelmed by the smallest tasks or deadlines, especially at work. Just deadlines would send me over the edge and I would just cry. And I also tended to overinvest in people I didn't even know that well. So I would take on emotional responsibilities of others and just try and fix things that I weren't capable of fixing. And all of this emotional chaos caused me to develop in that time period a serious heart condition and an autoimmune illness that affected my physical appearance. But being on Solle has not only helped me physically, but has also helped to stabilize my mental and emotional health. Now I don't flip from hot to cold as easily as I used to. I don't burst into tears over the smallest inconveniences. I find it easier to sit and really process my emotions with a more level head. And I do feel more connected to my thoughts and my feelings. May of 2021, I was able to have an intimate wedding and be married by my late father-in-law, who passed suddenly a few weeks after our wedding. Before he passed, we spent a lot of restless nights in the hospital by his side. And those were really some of the hardest moments that I've ever experienced. So Solle really helped me through that time period, just to be there for my husband then and even now, to comfort him and not completely just fall apart like I probably would have before. So today, I'm happy to say that this month, marks 2 years of me being on Solle. And in these past 2 years, it has really helped me to take back control of my life, my relationships, and my emotions.
I love your story. It's just so powerful. It reminds me of, when you're really working with the mind and the body and really just working it all, like you can get so many benefits, like even things that you didn't think you were going to have, like they just start improving. And so I appreciate you so much for sharing, and such a powerful testimonial. And so we're talking today about becoming emotionally savvy. And so I'm going to go ahead and dive into the topic. I'm going to share my screen. First of all, we're going to be talking about becoming emotionally savvy and the 3 secrets to leveraging your emotions to unlock your potential and live a more connected life. And I speak with a lot of people every day. And one of the common things I hear is that many of us do not know how to feel. Real quick, before I get into that, I just noticed this is the Mind Body Wellness Journal that we're going to be giving away at the end. So if you got on just a little bit late and didn't hear that at the beginning, we are going to be giving away this gift for all attendees at the end. And then this is our giveaway, which is given to us by Solle Naturals, which we are so grateful for them sponsoring this giveaway. And then, so getting back to what I was saying is many of us do not know how to feel, right? And especially with all that's going on in the world and the economy, this is a pain point that I hear a lot. Like people will tell me like, I'm not sure what to feel, or I'm not sure how to feel, or my feelings are too much, right? And in my experience, I think we tend to view feelings through like the what aspect, like what is okay to feel, what is not okay to feel. And I believe because of us looking through the lens of what, we don't know how to feel. And we don't always actually know how to feel in a way that allows us to understand and process our feelings. And so oftentimes, we may overtly or covertly receive messages growing up, or maybe from society or certain feelings, like we were told that, certain things are allowed and certain things are not allowed, right? And so I think we're often confronted with the feeling that we have this list of prohibited feelings. And if we have those feelings, we don't know how to navigate them. Right. And so my goal is by the end of this time that we're together, that you're able to walk away with some tangible understanding of your emotions and how to leverage them in a way that doesn't feel out of bounds. And because I believe that one of the most powerful things is that we know that we're not alone, that's why we came together to share these experiences of understanding emotions together. So the question is, do you ever feel like you don't understand your emotions? And you feel free to comment in the chat if you want to, and let me know, like, do you ever feel confused by, the emotions you're feeling and whether it's okay to be feeling them or not okay to be feeling them? There's so much power in seeing what you're feeling reflected back to you. And I want to tell you that if you're having this experience, you're in the right place because we're with you. We understand you and there's nothing wrong with you. As a matter of fact, many of us have complicated relationships with our emotions. And this was my journey. And even today, I know what I think, right? I know what I think almost all the time. I often live in my brain like a lot, right? And I don't always allow in any information from the rest of me, right? Like, so I don't always allow what my body is telling me. And this really comes to, because when I was younger, I don't believe that I was overtly taught but somehow I learned that there was such a thing as good emotions and bad emotions, and that some of my emotions were allowed to be expressed and some needed to be internalized. And I had this lesson so much that at the age of 8, I had just started in a new elementary school. And I had such social anxiety that every single day I would go to the cafeteria and I would get sick. And I mean, like, embarrassingly sick. And the doctors had no clue what was going on. And they didn't call it social anxiety at the time, but I couldn't communicate my feelings authentically at the time. And so now I don't subscribe to that anymore. I don't believe that there's such a thing as bad emotions or good emotions. I actually believe all emotions give us information. But my biggest challenge is, where and with whom do I let them out, right? And when is it safe to be open emotionally and when is it not? And it is important for us to set up the appropriate places to act out these emotions and connect them back to a particular feeling. It's interesting because when I work with parents of young children, I'll say every emotion is welcome, but not every behavior is welcome. And this is the same as an adult, because often we may feel some shame or, maybe we're not comfortable with certain emotions. But when we realize that it's less about the emotion itself and more about what we do with the emotion, then I think we're really presented with an opportunity for growth and becoming. So what gets in the way? Because many of us have complicated emotions or relationships with our emotions. What really gets in the way? And so first, it's the simple things, right? Like hunger. When we are fatigued, right? When we're lonely. So some of the things that we need to remember is, if we're nourishing our body and giving it the rest and the movement that it needs, it is easier for us to navigate our emotions. Number 2 is often past experiences and that feeling of not feeling safe. And we talked about this last week on our episode on challenging grief and emotional trauma. So you can watch that replay if you want more information about that. But another one for me is the fear of the feeling that if I feel this, or if I show up authentically, I might come across as too much. And a lot of that probably has to do with me showing up as a woman in spaces that are very male dominant, because I know that's a similar experience when I talk to other women. But sometimes it's just having thoughts and feelings like, it might not be okay for me to think this or to feel this in this moment. And I'm sure some of it's internal messaging, some of it may be societal or historical limitations, but oftentimes this can make us feel like boxed in. And this is really why we're here tonight, to help people figure out some of these things and to get more connected to ourselves so that we can better connect to everyone around us. And we really believe that the best way to reconnect with the world is to reconnect with ourselves first and foremost. So tonight we're going to discover the 3 secrets to leverage your emotions and unlock your potential. And secret number 1 is to shift from I am a human doing, which is this belief that a lot of us walk around with, right? I'll often go to events where when I ask someone, who they are or to introduce themselves, they immediately want to go right into this whole list of their credentials and professional accolades. And, there's even a lot of research that backs up that usually within the first 60 seconds of meeting someone, you're going to revert to what you do professionally in order to give you value. So there's many of us that associate how important we are and our identity with what we put out into the world, like maybe what letters are behind our name, or how many people like us on Instagram, or how many friends we have on Facebook, right? And so we want to shift from a human doing to a human being. And it's different to just sit with who we are being, right? A lot of times we'll get wrapped up in our self-value and self-worth. So I like to think of it like this. So there's an artist, and this artist creates this beautiful masterpiece work of art. the artist is going to think a certain thing about that piece, and maybe they think it's priceless, right? And to that artist, it could be worth infinite amounts of time and energy that they put into the passion of creating that work. But then it goes to market and it's assigned a value. But that value doesn't necessarily mean anything, right? Because the piece means something to the artist and it means something different at the store. So I think there's something really to be seen about, being a human doing versus a human being here, because we're always going to be doing, right? We always want to have impact in the world, and there's nothing wrong with doing, right? And there's huge value and importance of being able to distinguish from those things to I'm always doing these things to I have value regardless and just because of who I am as a person. Now, often we may have feelings that come with a connotation, right? Like we might feel like this is the wrong feeling to be having, or this feeling is bad. And so we might feel that our feelings are a liability, but our feelings are really just information. They are actually triggered by our thoughts, and they're just chemical messengers in our body. And our body knows what to do with them. So if we allow them to process, and of course, if you want more info on specifically processing emotions, you can go to www.soulexperiences.com, and that is going to take you directly to our YouTube channel, and there you can find the class on emotional trauma and grief, which goes into more detail about that. Now, how do we process this information we are gathering from our feelings? One of the big keys is supportive people and healthy relationships. And I have the benefit of having a conversation with someone once or so per week. And I really, really enjoy working with this person at a professional level. He thinks a lot like me, but just a little bit different. And he can see all of my blind spots that I'm refusing to look at for whatever reason. And I really enjoy getting feedback from him and even listening to his feelings about how I'm performing or what he sees that I could step into more. And because I feel safe in this relationship and I trust and value his opinion, I want his feedback, right? I want to be open and process through the things that are keeping me stuck. So I believe that we all need a mentor in our life that we can lean on to help us sort through the information that we are gathering through our emotions. Now, the third secret is shifting from self-awareness. Now, I will say this piece in particular is one of those that all of us will continue to do for our entire journey of life. And I don't believe that we will ever fully arrive in anything, but this one for sure, going from self-awareness to emotional savvy, is a big one. A lot of times we talk about gaining self-awareness and being aware of what we're actually feeling and how it's connected to larger things and our story and all that. But I want to encourage you to take it a step further and go from just having self-awareness to becoming emotional savvy. And this, in my opinion, is a game changer. So what this looks like is when we begin to really learn how to use our emotions and our feelings, it's like, I love to learn. I read at least one book a week, and I can often lose myself in medical research neuroscience journals. And I just love learning information. But if I just learn the information and just leave it sitting in my brain, it's absolutely useless, right? So if I become aware of something, that's wonderful. But the next step is to really be able to take that information that we have gathered and then do something with it, right? And this is the process of becoming emotional savvy. This is when you're turning your intellect into action. This is where we sometimes get stuck, right? We get aware, like we're like, oh, I'm having these certain thoughts. But then we just accumulate that we have them and we don't know how to put it into practice to change. So this is looking at what's under the feeling, right? It's looking at, my stomach is tight. I feel like I'm getting a little bit jittery, or my nerves are high, or my jaw is clenched, right? Or my fists are tightened. And we can make a space because we become aware of all that's going on in our body. And then we can say, oh, I'm feeling anxious. And if we can give those feelings space for a moment and allow us to process in a safe space, then we can listen and find out what information all of those things are trying to tell us, right? And this might lead you to, what is this actual emotion rooted in? Maybe it's rooted in fear. Maybe I'm fearful about XYZ thing. And then you can start really figuring out what those things are tied to and begin to get to the root of the feeling. And that sometimes can give us a clearer sense of where we're coming from and maybe the messages that are now carrying and acting from. And in just a minute, we're going to hear about a tool that we can use to support our mind and our body to better be able to give us that space so that we can listen and learn from the information that our feelings are sharing with us. But before we get there, I want to go over this definition of emotional savvy, because I really feel like it helps us to follow the actual path of becoming emotionally savvy and recognizing our emotions. So recognizing our emotions is where it starts. Then understand where they come from and then manage them thoughtfully, which is integrating everything into action in ways that unlock your agency, which really just means your ownership, right? Your ownership of your emotions. And also the potential that you have for future growth and expansion. And when you do that, it tends to spread out into your ability to influence other people to do the same thing. And so I would say we want to understand and gather the information and put it into action in a way that it would have a ripple effect into the world around us. So to help us make space, we can give ourselves more opportunity to learn and process our emotions. One of my favorite tools for that is actually the signature drink from Soul Naturals found in the calm category called ReNue. And when I drink this drink in the evening or really any time, I immediately feel more spaciousness to process what is going on in my mind and body. And tonight, for the Soul Connection segment, I have asked Greg Halliday, the founder and president of Soul Naturals, to share with us more information about the formulation of Soul ReNue and the benefits that we may experience with it. Greg?
Thank you, Erica. Such great information. I'm just riveted, thinking many productive thoughts, trying to assimilate your teaching. And kudos, by the way, on those graphics, because we are at our 10-year point as a company. And so part of that, it entails some what we call brand forwarding for our packaging. And Soul ReNue is no exception. In the coming months, you'll see the new packaging. In fact, here's the new box, but it's got the color. If you see the color, it's the color scheme. You did that on purpose, didn't you, Eric?
I actually did.
It's so good. Yeah. And so, if you're newer watching this, these little packets are inside, and these are your nutritional packets. And I actually love the way that you said that, because the job, you described a little bit of ReNue. I would say the job for ReNue is to nutritionally strengthen that space where we're able to learn and feel our emotions and deal with them properly. As you said, we've got to create that space. This can be a major help in giving us what we need nutritionally to make that productive space in our life. In fact, the back of the new box, I don't know if you can see that, it's probably backwards, in the camera, but it says reset, relax, and restore. 3 words that you actually see on the box right now. And that really, as I was thinking about the formulation and our objectives, because as Erica said, it is the signature or key nutritional product for the calm category. And remember, in Soul, calm is always mind and body, physical and emotional and mental. And that correlation happens together if we get the right nutrition. So what Soul ReNue was the final of the 4 category drinks. It was the last one. And so this formula is not simply a calming tea. You can drink it like a tea, and it actually is really good hot. This is one where I do recommend, if people are willing, try it the first time in the evening, maybe a little bit before you go to bed. like a half hour before or 15 minutes, whatever, whatever works for you. And put it in some hot water because it's just a wonderful, comforting, warm tea, but it's not just a calming tea. In fact, those three words, reset, relax, and restore, are kind of the indicators into the deep dive, if you want to say it that way, that we took into the process of truly relaxing and rejuvenating physically and mentally, because the two go together. That's the message I wanted to share, hopefully most clearly tonight from my point of view or from my topic, which is this Solle ReNue nutritional beverage. Relaxing and repairing and restoring and rejuvenating, all those words, they go together. They just happen. And I think the missing link for a lot of us is what Eric is teaching tonight. We just need to include, because we can include the nutrition, but not make the space and get the coaching and the mentoring to do everything that needs to be done. And we'll be much more effective combining this training with drinking the signature drink. But let me tell you a couple of things about the drink. Why do we say relax and restore and reset? Why do we use those words? Well, a couple of the key ingredients. One of them is a fruit, a natural hybrid. It sounds weird to say it that way. Not caused, according to anybody's research, by men. It's probably insect derived because it's actually thousands of years old. But it is a very clear combination of grapefruit, mandarin orange, and lime, and that's called yuzu. Very famous fruit and popular flavor in Japan and in many, actually moving to Europe and barely coming here. We use the rind and the juice, both the rind and the juice in ReNue. And why do we do that? Well, it's one of the key ingredients of ReNue because it contains components that relax and calm the muscles, take the tension out of what we produce with maybe the way we react to stress or traumas or struggles in life. But it also has aromatics in it, pure essential oils, which are shown to release stress and to calm the mind. In fact, one of them is called nomalin, and I'm trying to think of the other one. There are two very famous ones that have been in studies. And there's a particular system that they use to rate stress, endocrine stress. And in every case in this study, as yuzu was just smelled, so going directly to the brain, bypassing digestion, just those aromatics, the stress scores would go down significantly among participants. And this is a great example. So we've included all of that essence coming from the rind and also the nutrition of the fruit, because together they're wonderful anti-anxiety calmers. Now, there are 3 or 4 other herbs that have been studied for years and years, supporting the body's coping and, let's say, normalizing processes in situations of anxiety. So these other nutrients give the body what it's needing more of to bring ourselves into that feeling of balance and take away those feelings of kind of fear and anxiety. But one of those in particular is the other one I wanted to highlight tonight. It's called marl root. It's an adaptogen. The official name is Reponticum carthamoides, and it grows in Siberia. And it got its fame, really was discovered as scientists watched animals that were in the area. So these would be, and I can't remember if they were a type of deer, reindeer, but northerly, as they were hurt. For instance, the males when they would fight in rutting season, or females after giving birth, they would go to this plant and they would return and eat this particular bush. So Reponticum, they started studying it. And of course, they find later that it's an adaptogen. But at first, they simply studied it. Why are these animals eating this when they need to heal? And it does have a number of compounds in it that have been learned since then that support the body's sort of speeding up that healing process, accelerating those healing processes. So I said at the start that ReNue is a little different. It's not just your calming tea. This is a restorative calming tea and more, but because the imbalances that come from health, and this is just I'll give you some of my personal philosophy and opinion. I think they do change tissue, and we learn we see changes in some of this, and it does need to be, the body seeks to bring it back into a productive and a sort of a prime state, not necessarily always staying in the prime of life, but in a peak functioning state, if we give it the right nutrients and a chance, some time, a space where it can actually heal and not have to deal with just coping with the now. So this is a key component. Marlroot is a key component as part of this process, because I believe that kind of all situations involve some of that. That's just a little personal opinion. They involve some of that reparative and restorative work, some of which we understand and a lot of which we don't. Second, let me just say Marlroot, after being studied and watched for its healing properties, they also embarked on an incredibly impressive study with depression. In this study, and we've cited it a lot as we've shared trainings that Dr. Allison Caldwell Andrews, our chief scientific advisor, she prepared some trainings as we launched this product several years ago. I still love to quote one of the studies that she cited, wherein people that had moderate to severe depression took, I'm not going to remember the exact number, but it was something like 4 or 5 times a day, not once or twice, or even 3 times a day. 4 or 5 times a day, they just drank a liquid extract of marlroot. And what they found in a short 6 weeks was that 75% of them said next to no symptoms. Now they were drinking, you think about that. If they're doing it that many times a day, this is quite a bit of nutrition, but it really showed clearly the mental connection, which you find in all adaptogenic herbs. So this was another one. As we learned about Reponticum, and I will tell you the truth, this is one I was aware of when we founded the company and originally had thought of putting in Soul Vital. Didn't do it because we couldn't find a reliable extract that we wanted, a complete plant extract. And a few years later when we did, that was serendipity, because ReNue is the better spot for marlroot. So those are just a couple of highlights. There are several other ingredients, but ReNue is quite a special beverage because yes, it's a calmer, but it's also a healer and a repairer. And we say kind of all that together, when we get the right state where our body can activate those healing processes that are naturally designed within us. Well, that's kind of like, feels like a reset. We're able to, okay, let's go again. I feel stronger. I'm ready to get back at it. So that's a little bit about reset, relax, and restore with ReNue.
Thank you so much. Wow, like you just blew me away. Like yeah. And I love ReNue. I really do. And I will go back to that reset piece, because I will tell you that if I'm traveling or something's going on and I forget my ReNue, I definitely feel like I did not hit the reset button for the next day. Like I really feel that drinking it before I go to sleep is really crucial to really getting that really good restorative reset sleep. Also, I love ReNue before I'm going to do a presentation or any time that I'm going to be speaking in front of a large audience, because it really just gives me that spaciousness in my body to be able to be relaxed and be able to deliver, what I need to deliver. So I absolutely love it. Thank you so much for sharing all of that information. And this is definitely going to be a replay, guys, that you're going to want to come back to and, just get all this information and be able to share it with others. I'm going to come in and give you a file. It is actually a mind body wellness journal that we use in our Signature 4 system, which goes along with the Signature 4 drinks. And it'll help you to check in with yourself, with your mental wellness, emotional wellness, physical wellness, and social wellness or relationships. And it'll give you that moment. You can drink your ReNue and you can check in with yourself and allow yourself to process the emotions. So if you click on that link, you'll be able to get that file. And thank you so much for attending. Guys, it has been such a pleasure to be here with you. Next Tuesday, we're going to be right back here, soulmuchmore.com, same time. So thank you so much for coming. Bye-bye.